All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening there. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Yes, it looks like it. And we are live. Good evening and welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. Dear parents, your children have way more capacity than we give them credit for. Children can stretch themselves, or children have the ability to do much more than we think they can. Our job as parents is to ensure that we create the right environment for our children to exhibit or for our children to harness all that they have within them. If we know this and we learn how to do this, then we are setting our children up for success beyond what we can even begin to imagine. Welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. My name is Maribel Chima, and I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources, and the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle, a peer mentorship an accountability group that we run for young children and preteens. And today we are answering another question that a parent has asked us. More than one parent has asked, actually. So, because I am always talking about the fact that children can do a lot, I say this to toddler parents, I say this to parents of school age children, and to parents of preteens. I say we take the strength and the capacity that our children have, we take it for granted. We take it for granted so many times, and that's why we always think that we need to create solutions for them. We always think that we need to put things in place for them, and that's because we do not recognize how much these children are capable of. Today, we're answering the question, how can I avoid trivializing my child's capacity? As a parent, what do you think of your child? How much do you think your child can do? How much do you give your child permission to do? Do you even allow your child do anything for themselves? I'm talking about your 6-year-olds, your 8-year-olds, your 10, up to your 13-year-olds. I'm talking about your school age children and your preteens today. But do you know that even your toddlers can do so much for themselves if only you recognize that they can and that you give them the permission to do this? More than oftentimes than not, what we do is we set everything, we set the stage for our children, we put everything in place for our children, and then we assume that it is because we have put those things in place, that's why our children are successful, or that's why our children are able to achieve certain things. It will shock you that if only you take some of that dependence, because I don't want to call it support, support is fine. If only you take some of that dependency away and give the children some independence, you will be shocked at the progress. You will be shocked at how much the children can do for themselves. All right, so today we're looking at what you do to the child, what you do to the child when you set this, when you don't give them, when you trivialize their capacity, what you do to them when you trivialize their capacity. Number one, today's show is going to be very, very short because I'm not in the place to be here for too long today. All right, so today's show is going to be quite long, so I'm short. So I'm just going to go right into answering that question. All right, what do you do? What do you do, first of all, when you allow your children, when you don't allow your children, when you don't allow your children exert themselves? What you do when you don't allow your children try their hands on things? What you do when you don't allow your children express themselves, right, in by way of how they feel and by way of what they can do? All right, there's so much strength, there's so much might, there's so much capacity that these children have, but if we don't give them permission or we don't allow them express this, what happens to them? I'm going to be talking about 5 things that you could be doing to your child when you don't do this. You undermine their confidence. When you don't allow your child express themselves, you don't allow your children do things for themselves, you don't allow your children try things, you tell the child directly or indirectly that I do not trust you. That's what you're saying. I do not trust that you can't do this thing on your own. I don't have confidence in your ability. I don't have confidence in you and all of that. Now, think about it that as a wife, okay, or leave husband and wife said, because for wives, you probably would be you probably have the narrative that you're supposed to live the baby girl life. So as a result, there are so many things that you don't want to do, right, to maintain your steez, right, and all of that. So let's leave that. It may not be the right example right now to help you see the picture. Now, think about it this way. In your office, you have gotten a job on merit. You got a job on merit, and now you have this role, and this role is some managerial role or some role that is, semi-managerial role, something like that. And then you get into that job and you realize that your direct boss will hardly give you any job to do. Let's even put it very, let's bring it home closer, that you are a woman. All right, think about it this way, that you are now a woman, and at that level you're probably the only woman at that level, and every other person is a man. And you realize that task and projects and all of that is going over your head because for some reason someone, in fact, even if the person doesn't say it to you, you just realize that the jobs, the projects, the tasks are going over your head, and they're being passed to other people who can even do the job less than you can do it as far as you're concerned. People who are not as competent as you are as far as you're concerned. How would that make you feel? All right. How would that make you feel? Now, even if you happen to be a laid back, careless person and all of that, the truth about it is there will be the time where you will lie down and you will tell yourself some truth, right? You will tell yourself some truth. And the only way I know, or one of the ways that you will think about it, is the fact that this person does not believe in your capacity or your ability, rather. This person does not believe in your ability. This person does not think that you know anything. This person doesn't think that you are capable of executing the project or doing anything. And if I don't know about you, that will make me feel bad. That will make me really, really feel bad. All right. Now let's even bring it home to the marriage thing. Okay. I didn't want to go there, but let's bring it home to the marriage thing. You have a husband or you have a spouse who never runs anything by you, never runs anything by you, never seeks your opinion on anything, practically does every single thing. All right. For some people, depending on where you're coming from, you will probably just chill there and say, oh, it's the baby girl life. But the truth about it is, if this person happens to be, have a sounding box, probably, or have someone else that probably their younger sibling that is younger than you, right? They have their sister or they have a friend, they have someone there that is a woman like you, and they are asking this person's opinion and they are running things by this person. I promise you, you won't feel like a baby girl anymore, because somehow you will face the reality that this person doesn't think that you have the mental capacity for the task. So give and take, it's the same thing that we're doing when we have our 8-year-olds, our 6-year-olds, our 10-year-olds, and there are basic things that these children can do, and yet we pass over their head and have every other person do these things except them. In fact, there are some homes, there are some cases that you will see, right, where you will see people have domestic staff. You have those little girls who come and stay in your home. It's so hilarious when I see that one. You go to a home and you find out that the person that is supposed to be the domestic staff or the help in the house is even younger than the first child in the house, or is about the same age as the first child in the house. It's about the age of the children in the house. So in your head, you're asking yourself, how is this person a help? It is just that whole slavery mentality that you feel my children shouldn't do this because they are privileged, yet another person that is about their age should do this because the person is less privileged. Because if we are talking about skills and we're talking about capacity, if you feel your child is unable to do a particular thing, then you should think that someone that's about her age should be unable to do that thing too. So it goes to show that it's not like we feel that our children are too young. It's just simple. We do not believe in our children's abilities. We do not, or we have ignorantly, there's that ignorance in the whole picture, thinking that it is pride and it is it is pride, and it is ajabota, is affluence, or whatever it is, right? Is a class thing that your child shouldn't be able to do certain things. All right. So, dear parents, I say there is nothing wrong with your child being or having all of that class, and yet your child knows how to do basic things for themselves. It does not rub off their class, it does not rub off anything. As a matter of fact, it just leaves your child equipped. If nothing has taught us or brought us to that point where we were leveled, just go back and think about 2019, 2020, when COVID came, and a lot of people had to send the domestic staff and send everybody away from your home, and it had to just be you and your family. How did they cope? How did the children cope? And who says, I mean, I'm not a prophet of doom, but who says that we've seen the last of a situation like this? What we are saying is, COVID, something as bad as COVID will probably never happen. I don't know. Maybe something worse than it can happen. I don't know. We don't know this thing. So why wouldn't you rather equip your child, right, for a season that if for any reason they find themselves in certain situations, then they know how to navigate on their own with or without the support of people. It's got nothing to do with class. And if you come back, you realize that it's only in this part of the world that we think that class is being unskilled, right? It's only around here, it's around us. It's actually a poverty mentality, right? It's a poverty mindset to think that class means unskilled, right? Because by now, I'm sure you've heard us say, you've heard me say many times that poverty is actually not just the absence of currency, and all of that. Poverty is a mindset. You can have all the money in the bank and you are still poor, because in your mind you are poor. Yet you don't have so much when it comes to liquid cash. You don't have so much when it comes to fiscal wealth. Yet in your mind you have a mind of abundance, or you have an abundance mindset. I promise you, it's just a matter of time for someone with an abundance mindset. So that's it. So if someone as old as your child can do it, why shouldn't your child do it? But what I'm saying, whether you do domestic stuff or you don't do domestic stuff, there are things that our children can do. Let's give them permission to do this. All right. Number two, you would discourage your child from growing. The moment you do not allow your child do things for themselves, the moment you do not allow your child exert their strength and try out things, you don't allow them navigate on their own, you don't allow them try out. In fact, that's the word. All right, that's the phrase. Try out things. All right, the rule is, or the rule of thumb is, do not do for a child what the child can do for themselves. How do you know that the child can do it for themselves? By having them try. And now this is the rule. How do you get children into that place where they try? The rule is this: model to them. Whatever it is, don't give a child to do something that you have not taught them to do. So first things first is model to the child. After modeling to the child, do the task together. All right, there's a new thing you want your child to try. There's a new skill you want to introduce to your child. There's a new system you want to put in place. All right, first thing you want to do is introduce it to the child. Now, model it to the child and help the child focus on it. Right, that is where intentionality comes in. So it's not the one that you just keep doing things and one day you wake up and say, "Don't you see me do it every day?" So stop assuming. Do not assume as a parent. Don't assume that your children know or see anything. All right, that's what it means to be intentional. Intentional means that I am not leaving anything to chance. I am not assuming anything. I am making time to teach everything. The law of first mention, put that as part of your strategy in your home. Make sure that you are the one that mentions. All right, you want to make sure that almost everything that your child knows, they had their first mention from you. Almost everything that your child knows, the child learns to do it from you. All right. So when you do that, you put your child in a place where the child is willing to grow. The child is willing to try out things. Children whose parents do not allow them try out things, or parents who have people do stuff for their children, have the children, usually those children don't have a growth mindset. They don't have a growth mindset. Children like this do not want to try out things. They are not adventurous. They are not spontaneous. Because the moment there is a difficult situation, the moment there is something that is problematic around them, they begin to turn to the right, to the left, looking for who would take the blow. They begin to turn to the right and to the left, looking for someone else who would do it for them. So you see that thing when you get to a home and there are dishes in the kitchen and you have four children in the house and everyone is passing, like admin. I don't know, it's supposed to be me or something like that. That's what happens because we don't allow children do things and we don't create a system where our children are constantly doing things. At the back of their minds, the children begin to grow thinking someone. So that's why you hear those kind of, they did not do it. They always want to refer to the next person because everybody thinks it's not my job to do it. It's the next person's job. And so because you think it's the next person's job, each person comes into the kitchen and goes out of the kitchen and the dishes are there and stuff are there, things are littered because everyone is waiting for the next person to do it. So right, if you want to eliminate this in your home, then create a system where everyone gets to try, a system where your children know that there is nothing that is too big to try or to do. All you need to do is try it out. So first thing you introduce to your child, the next thing is you do it. You model it for the children to see. After you model it for them to see, and then the next one is you give them a chance to try it out together with you. So together you try to achieve that thing together. Do it together. It's a task. It's a new it's a new tool, it's a task, whatever it is that you have introduced, do it together. And then after that, you step back and allow the child the chance to do it while you monitor them. All right, do that for a bit. And then after monitoring them for some time, trust them. Trust them. You know, a secure attachment, and for you to have a secure attachment with your child, you need to get to that point where you trust that your child can do stuff on their own. And even if they fail while at it, they will know that you will be there to encourage them and to help them go back and try again or to support them through the process. All right. So when you have that kind of system in your home with your child, where your child is not afraid to make mistakes, where your child is not afraid to do things because they think if they do it, they will fail, then you have hit the right nail on the head because now you are raising a wholesome child who is not afraid to try. But if the system is the other way around, you don't give them the opportunity to try, you don't give them the opportunity to do anything, you always get other people to do it. What happens is the children do not want to try because they think something in their brain tells them the reason that you don't allow them do it or try it is because you know that they will not do it well, or that you believe that they will not do it well. They may not be asking or telling themselves this. They may not even have this conversation. These are the silent things that happen between the brain, right, and the human action, basically. The subconscious mind is constantly feeding your child with what your child can or cannot do. And it is based on the experiences that the child has had. All right. You have this 15 or 18-year-old who stays with you and works with you. And you have a 20-year-old child that the 18-year-old practically waits on and does everything for. That's too far. You have a 15-year-old and a 15-year-old girl in your house who helps out, and then the 15-year-old girl who helps out does everything. In fact, they may not even be the same age, but they came at the time, the girl probably came to your home when the child was 13 or 14, and now your daughter is 14 and 15, and yet your daughter cannot do the things that that girl did when she came to your home. You need to go back to the drawing board and begin to check. All right. I remember at the time when I was still doing helps, I didn't know better. Okay, I'm not saying those who do helps are not doing the right thing. All right, I'm talking about little girls or little children. So when my son was about 4, my mom came, with a girl that was 12. I remember that she was about 12. Yeah. So my mom came with her to come and help me. And for her, the reason why she brought someone young was because she wanted someone that our son could play with. Our son was an only child for a long time. All right. So she thought, he needed someone to play with, when I'm not there. He needed another child, in the house and all of that, So yes, at the time I didn't know any better anyway. All right. So she came in and, she was with us, that time and all of that. She stayed with us till she was about 16. She left my home when she was about 16. At the time she was leaving my home at 16, our son was somewhere around 8 years, right? Our son was somewhere around 8 years old when she left. And so we trottled. I had a few people come in, and all of that until our son became 10. When our son became 10, we already agreed that we're not going to have a living, right? We're not going to have a living help. Sorry about that. So we had agreed that we will not have a living help after our son turns 10. All right. So by the time he was 10, we stopped getting, living help. Sorry, just give me a second. My husband is trying to reach me. All right. So by the time our son was 10, I'm so sorry about that. That's the problem with this weekday classes. Sorry, my husband was trying to reach me, and I needed to get someone to talk to him. All right, sorry about that. All right, so yes, 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 yes. So by the time she was, 16, she left and all of that. So yes, from age 10, we stopped having living helps. We had care, I mean, what do you call it? Housekeepers coming to work, and go and all of that, where the need was. And so by the time our son was 12 and 13, right, I go into that space and I realized that, I started thinking of when this girl was with me, right? Remember, I said she came when she was 12 and she left when she was 16. I started thinking of the things that she did when she was 12, when she was with me. And that was all that I needed, right? That was all that I needed to put certain system in place for our son. Because I just said to myself, if some other person's child came to my home at 12 and was doing the things, right? She would clean the living room, she would do this, she would do that. And that was all. That was all that I needed to tell myself that my son had the capacity for certain things. And that became the driving force for me because I said to myself, if you made someone do those things and you are shielding your child from doing them, it means that you are not a good person. Because if you believed that a 12-year-old could come in, do laundry, hang the things out, help out in the kitchen, make some meals, do all of that, help our son, with, whatever it is, and all of that. Good thing I had a daughter at the time, and she was about the same age or slightly older. By the time our son was her age when she came to stay with me, my daughter was about 6 at the time. And so I just said to myself, bingo, she came and she was taking care of my 4, 6, 8-year-old child before. She was supporting him right at the time. So it simply means that my 12-year-old can actually support his 6-year-old sister. And that was it. So it became the standard for me, right? And so with that, I couldn't limit our son at all. That became the standard for me not to limit my son because I simply said, if I made some other person's child do these things at that age, if I believe that some other person's child could do these things at that age, it simply means that my son has the capacity to also do those things. And so we prepared him, and that's it. And that was like the one of the best things that we did for him and for ourselves. It was one of the best things because by the time he was 10, he was already making meals thanks to Coach Wendy also, right? Coach Wendy was always talking about her children cooking at age 8, and all of that. And so I said to myself, okay, our son is about the same age, thereabouts, So I'm like, yeah, he was already 9 at the time. And I'm like, okay, if other kids are doing that, it means that he can actually do this too. So we started making those baby steps and teaching him and allowing him, get in there, trusting him here and there and all of that. And by the time the final game changer was when he got to the age that I had this girl stay with me, and and all that she did at that age, right? At this time, she was gone already. But then again, I could still remember what some of the tasks that she had to do. All right. And that's it. So that's what I'm saying. Our children can do. And so if you do not get your children to do these things, if we don't get our children to start doing things like chores, to start taking care of their personal belongings, their stuff and all of that, and we call it self-management. If you don't get your children to the point where your children are self-managing, you don't get them to the point where they are home managing, you don't get them to the point where they are self-directing, you don't get them to the point where they are beginning to take initiative. Now, all of these things I'm telling you is what we do with the children in the mastermind circle. When the children come to be with us in the mastermind circle from age 6, we begin to get them into the space. And these are the dimensions that we use. These are the dimensions of education in the mastermind circle: self-management, home management, right? Self-management, home management, financial skills, leadership skills, leisure reading, academics, spiritual growth, right? Spiritual growth, and all of this. Now, the moment the children come, we have a curriculum that is already laid out, and that curriculum is to pass the children through the system where the children, by the time they have been with us for 3 months, 4 months, we already having them move on the spectrum from not being motivated at all or not being able to direct themselves to children already starting to take initiative and direct themselves to an extent. And that's because we believe that the children have got capacity, and we're not trivializing the capacity, because we know that if we trivialize their capacity, then we're going to undermine their confidence. We're also going to discourage them from growing. We are going to limit their potentials. That's the third thing. If you do not allow your children try out things for themselves, you don't allow your children push themselves, you don't allow your children discover for themselves. I have said this many times, that children, even babies, were naturally God's programming, or God's they were wired from the beginning to be independent. So from the moment a child is born, the wiring is that the child gets independent. And nature's mandate is to ensure that this happens in the most authentic, easiest, and finest way, basically. So when the child is ready, nature is going to pull the child. I say this every evening when I come here, because I want parents to understand that our children have got capacity, right? Nature has filled them with all that they need to thrive for every phase, for every stage, for every level of their life. Nature is there, positioned to call your child to thrive. And now this is where you as a parent needs to also answer that call, because what you do is, the moment you recognize that nature is pulling your child to do this and your child is answering that call of nature, what do? You create an environment that will stimulate the child in that area. What it means is, you create an environment that will ensure that the child is practicing, the child is encountering these things that will help the child grow in that area per time. All right, this is really very simple and easy to think about if you actually put your mind to trying to figure it out. All right, so let's look, for instance, nature is telling your child it is time to move yourself. It is time to build the muscles that you need to move, because it is independence to use your limbs, right? Nature will pull the child to learn to stand up. Remember, when the child is little, the child is stagnant. The child is in a place, he poos, he's sitting down there in his poop inside his diaper, and all he would do is cry, cry, cry till someone else comes and then wipes them up. that is where the child is at that time, totally dependent. Now, nature's job is to make sure that the child moves from that place where the child is totally dependent. All right. And so, what does nature do? The first thing that nature introduces is the ability for the child to move their limbs as they choose, not just by reflex. So, the child can now begin to not just involuntarily, right? There is a time things like blinking and all of that, the child doesn't have to learn. This happens involuntarily. But a time will come when nature will serve the child the ability to decide, I choose to blink. And then the child blinks because he chooses to. All right. So it's the same thing. Nature would get the child, when the child gets to the stage or the phase, nature would tell the child, now it's time to bend and crawl out of that place. And so nature pulls the child to start crawling. It has nothing to do with what you have done. Nature has pulled the child to crawl. Now, this is how you hinder nature, by coming to pick the child up every time the child is trying to crawl. So if you pick the child and you put the child on your back every time, you don't give the child the opportunity to keep crawling. What you're doing is you are stifling and you are inhibiting nature from happening to that child, and the child from developing that skill that they need to thrive at that level. So if you are not ignorant, you understand these things, and you say, oh, nature has called this child to start doing this right now, so what am I going to do? I'm going to give him opportunity to do this even more. All right, because it is with practice that we gain mastery. So what do? You take off everything that is unsafe in that environment, you create the space, and then you give the child enough room. So first thing in the morning, you put some things around, right? See me, I'm already giving you, tips. All right, so we have a challenge that is coming up soon. It is called, I'm not sure how well the team is structuring that challenge, but it is 45 minutes. We want you to spend 45 minutes for 14 days doing something with your child. So it accelerates your child's learning, right? 45 minutes challenge. So what we will do is we will give you the activity. We will start by helping you identify how your child learns the most, the child's learning style, the child's most beneficial learning style, and of course, other learning styles that you can have. And then we will help you with activities. I am the chief of activities, okay? Ask the parents who take our reading challenge. We bring you the most exciting, beautiful, engaging activities that will help you have fun and connect with your child. So we will create activities that you will do with the children for these 2 weeks. Every day you will do the activity, you will report, you will just have fun, having a nice time. Even if you are not in the same location with your child, you can do this together with them. All right. So now you have noticed nature is calling this child to this. I have to create enough stimulation in the environment so that the child is doing this and practicing this consistently. All right. And then, of course, I have to make it fun and create fun all around it. So the more you make it fun, you create fun around it, you give the child the opportunity, you don't stifle the child, you don't stop your child. The more the child is doing this, the faster the child is developing those muscles, the faster the child is building those muscles that they need. And then before you know it, that child is up on his toes. And then the child is already moving, and then you create the environment. So nature will pull the child when it is time for each of these things. And it's not just in physical and building those muscles, is in everything. Is in your child being organized, is in your child's critical thinking abilities, is in your child's language, is in your child's ability to emotional abilities. Nature has a time where it's going to pull the child, but as a parent, do you recognize these times, and are you harnessing, all right, and maximizing this time to be an advantage to your child? All right, so these are the things that we are talking about. Now, if you know this and you do this, you are going to be helping your child in more than one ways. You're going to be helping your child in so many ways, because now you are going to be building or helping your child harness their capacity and make the best of it. This is how you raise wholesome children, and this is how you raise skilled children, and this is how you raise children who can navigate on their own. This is how you raise resourceful children, productive children. This is how you raise children who understand that they have a task to fulfill in life. All of these things come together. So you limit their potential. Number 4, you stifle their creativity. Yes, you stop them from being creative. Children interact with their environment. We all do. And children learn through the interactions that they have in their environment. Now, when you're not allowing them you're not allowing them try out things, what you're doing is you are stopping them from interacting from their environment. That is why when they go to kindergarten, they go to nursery school, you see them there's a subject they have that it says the subject that is knowledge and understanding of the world. That is now, I mean, the school trying to teach your child, about their world in a structured environment. You can allow your child have that through hands-on practice, through real life experiences, through exploring in your home, through being themselves in their natural environment. So the moment you keep picking them, stopping them, hey, you on is too much, sit down in one place, you play too much, you're jumping around, all of those things. Or the moment you don't allow them try out things on their own, they're doing the chores, they're in the kitchen, they're figuring out things on their own, you don't allow them to do these things. The moment they say they want to create something, you don't give them the opportunity to create something. Yesterday, my daughter invited me for a show, right? She had created a box, with my daughter is just a creative. So she created something. She wanted to do a puppet show. And so she turns off the lights, and then she had all of these, her characters. She had cut all her different characters for the story. And then she had them tied to broomsticks, And so she turns off the light and then using my phone light. And she's there telling a story. And then there was a conversation between the characters, and all of that. This is creativity. Now you don't have time. I mean, she kept on coming here. I was busy. She kept on coming here to say, are you ready? Can we do it? Are you ready for my show now? At some point, I had to say to myself, you are ready. So I left everything and I showed up, and then she had her show. Okay. Now, doing that alone is you allowing creativity. But if you don't allow these things, leave that thing. You're wasting the paper. Stop it. Go and bat. Go and do your homework. Go and do your homework. Go and do your homework. These are the things that we say. And when we do all of these things, we stop them. We inhibit them. We do not allow them harness their capacity or harness their potential. And so we do not know all of this because we don't know the capacity that these children have. All right. You would also affect their academic performance. All right. This will also impact on their academic performance, because children who children who are confident, children who are creative, children who believe in their abilities, right? Because you have allowed them to explore and you have allowed them to build that sense of self-worth and sense of, accomplishments. They feel, through the things that they do, they create, the things that they try, the fact that they do chores and all of that. All of these are the things that will actually build their confidence. It is when you win that you are a champion. It is when you win that it's when you do that you gain competence, isn't it? So it is your competence. It's from your competency that your confidence comes from. All right. So if you don't allow your children do things that will make them feel competent, it means that the child will not build their confidence to the level that will make the child perform well, even in their academics. Because even academic performance is being daring. Academic performance is being confident in what it is that you know. Academic performance is being confident to explore, all right? Is you exploring, finding solutions, and being confident in the solutions or in the method that you have used. So a lot of times we just raise children who are copying and pasting, children who cannot vie away from what it is that their teachers have taught them, children who cannot push themselves and stretch themselves to know more and to learn more. And that's because we have limited them. Because even in the small things, we have made them think we don't think that they can do anything. All right. So it's the way we do one thing that we do everything. It's the way the child feels about themselves in one area. That's the same way they will feel about themselves in every area. So yes, dear parents, if we're not doing these things, these are the things that we are going to be doing to our children. Okay, so how do I avoid trivializing this? Go to all of these things that I've talked about. All right, go to everything I've talked about and allow your children try, allow your children do things. All right, create a system in your home where your children do chores. Create a system in your home where your children self-play. So number one, get your children to do chores. Organize chores. organize and agree on particular chores that your children do. This one is your chore. Let them wake up to the responsibility of that chore. And dear parents, that your children go to school does not stop them from doing something every day. That whole bad behavior that we have, that we feel when our children are going to school, because they are going to school, every other thing is dead. They do nothing else. Their job is just to wake up, get into a bathroom, come back, carry the lunchbox, carry everything that other people have put together for them. They come back, they dump their bag, someone takes care, does everything. And you say, oh, they will do it during the weekend. What are we teaching our children? That during the week, because you have commitment, every other thing should be dead. Is that the reality of the world? All right. So don't create a pseudo reality for your child. Don't create a pseudo world for your child. Raise your child for the world that they belong to. Let your children simulate what reality is, and let your children live reality. So if in the world we wake up in the morning and we have responsibilities apart from our jobs and our work and our school, then let your children have responsibilities just like it is in the real world. This is how they will grow, because our children are simply mini versions of what they are going to be in the future. It's not like as they grow old that they will metamorphose and begin to live in a reality that they didn't live when they were younger. They will just grow bigger responsibility. They will just get bigger versions of the responsibility that they know today. Let's put this at the back of our mind so we can help the children. All right, so we're going to stop here for today. I hope you've got value and you know now why you cannot undermine your child's capacity or trivialize the capacity that your child has. Let them try things, let them do things, model it to them. All right, get them to do it. Let them do chores. All right, let them explore. All right, let them explore, let them do chores, let them have particular chores that are for them to do. All right, let them have that. Let them give them small projects. Let your children do small projects. As they do these projects, they will begin to believe in themselves even more. Let them come up with their own self projects. Let your children have individualized time, or time where they self play. Allow your children self play where they are in their own boredom. Okay, let them look for activities to fill their boredom through self-play. And this way you're helping your children, right, to build their capacity, and you are not trivializing. When your children say they want to do things, don't tell them or shush them or hush them. Let them try. It is very important. When you do this, you of course are building their capacity. This is what we do with the children in the mastermind circle. We build their capacity. We build their capacity. We give them tasks to lead. We give them tasks to task to lead, task to speak to everyone, task to proffer solutions, and all of that. And this is how we're helping them grow into great young people. All right, by the time they bounce into their full teenage years, the children will be so equipped, so equipped, I dare say. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like your child to be a part of the mastermind circle, we have the information on your screen. I promise you, the mastermind circle will transform your child. It's a whole 360-degree transformation. You will begin to see your child that is laid back and doesn't want to do anything. You will see that child come into that place where the child begins to understand the role that he plays or she plays in her own life. All right. All you need to do is get your children into that space where they understand that their personal development is their responsibility. I can send you to school, I can do all of these things, but you need to build your capacity yourself. And I can give you a platform. I can put you on a platform with like minds where they can help you do this. And so bring them, have this conversation with them, and bring them to us in the mastermind circle, and you will be glad that you did. Of building a tribe for these children, a tribe that is not just them coming and going, a tribe where they come in and they build connections with the children in the tribe. That is what we have in the mastermind. It's such a close tribe that we build connections even amongst the children. Thank you for joining me today. I'm sure you got value. Let us know that you got value, and share this link with your friends so that they can also join us. Share, tag them on Facebook. If you're on our YouTube channel, you haven't subscribed, why don't you hit the subscription button and subscribe to that channel so you can enjoy the resources? And then, of course, use the notification button also so that when we go live, you get notified. Thank you so much also, Kalista. All right, thank you for being here today. Have a fantastic rest of the evening. I actually feel better. I was actually not feeling too well at the beginning of this session. All right, thank you again for joining me. Have a blessed rest of the day. I'll see you at 7 o'clock tomorrow again for the Thursday show. Bye now. Bye.